Welcome to the Glazov gang. Our gang members this evening, 3 modern-day freedom fighters. Nonie Darwish, the author of the new book, The Devil We Don't Know. Eric Allen Bell of globalinfidel.tv. And Dr. Nancy Bonus, the founder of Protecting American Values. Nancy, that's a new organization dedicated to fighting for human rights around the world, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you so much, the 3 of you, for joining the Glazov gang in these dark and terrifying times. Tonight, very serious show, 3 very serious segments. This segment about Egypt, losing Egypt. Ladies and gentlemen, the Muslim Brotherhood appears to have won the election, but the military is blocking the Muslim Brotherhood from taking power. One of the reasons we hear that they're trying to prevent the Muslim Brotherhood from taking power, among other reasons, is that the military knows that the MB might actually launch a war with Israel. At the same time, we have an American administration that's pushing for the MB to get into power, when you would think that they would be supporting the military in blocking them, even though this is a democratic change, that some democratic changes could be a greater evil, as your book is about, Nonie. Nonie, being from Egypt and being one of the 3 experts at the table, tell us what's happening in Egypt.
Well, I'm monitoring Arab media, and really it's scary. But there's something new that I'm sensing. There is dialogue. At least there are Egyptians of different views who are speaking to one another and holding on their views, and that's something that I notice very different. But the situation is going to explode any minute. I'm expecting, as soon as they announce who's the winner, whether it's going to be the military or the Muslim Brotherhood, there's going to be, in my opinion, terrible violence on the streets.
Wait, so violence in the streets that will there escalate into violence against Israel?
Well, violence
because the Sinai border is no longer safe.
No,
right?
I mean, you know, there were demonstrations already that Eilat is an Egyptian city, and they won it, and they actually started shedding Eilat.
We had all these liberals and leftists in the West, the Arab Spring, this election in Israel, get rid of Mubarak. Look what's happening now.
And Hamas is being empowered now. I mean, before, Mubarak was muzzling Hamas and holding on, you know, all the military and the smuggling of weapons into Gaza. Right. Now, all of Sinai is becoming Hamas.
And Nonie, Mubarak was the devil we knew.
We knew.
But now the devil we don't know is more dangerous. For instance, Barack Obama, Gaddafi was the devil, but at least he was contained. Now with Gaddafi gone, those chemical weapons are ending up in Gaza in Hamas's hands.
Yeah, it's not a coincidence that now all of the Arab world is turning Islamist. The American policy now is friendly with the Muslim Brotherhood.
If you gave a grade to Barack Obama on all this, it's an F?
It's worse than an F. It's almost you know, collaborating with the devil we don't know.
Terrifying times. Eric, you're reading of the events.
You know, I was a liberal at the time of the Arab Spring, and very idealistic and thinking it was a good thing. But I wasn't educated about Islam, as are most Americans. So what I didn't know, which ought to be just so obvious to everyone now, is that Islam and democracy are not compatible. You can have a free democracy where no one's rigged the election, and they will vote in Islamists, and the Islamists will take away free speech, liberty, and start to institute brutality and Jew hatred of the worst degree. So, you know, it's a disaster. I think as long as you have Islam being the predominant religion in Egypt, arguably they're not ready for democracy.
But why do citizens in the United States understand this, and a president with supposedly intellectual, smart people surrounding him not get this? Or do they get it and they're actually on the side of the enemy?
I think that Obama, with regard to Muslims, is really, really naive, because he was, you know, brought up in Indonesia, and he has a romanticized version of Islam in his head. And I think he started a lot of this because of that Cairo speech that he gave, because at the time he gave that speech, he invited the Muslim Brotherhood, and they were in the first 2 rows. and Mubarak refused to go because the Muslim Brotherhood was not supposed to be there. And he had so many, I don't want to say lies, maybe he really believed they were true in his speech, but it was the first time an American president ever said that we are going to, one of our main goals as in America is to court Islam, court Muslims. We never had any American president that said one of my main goals is to court Christians or Jews. It's never happened.
Now, Nancy, perhaps it's just a phrase that you used in terms of Obama being naive. You know, as a student of the left and its mentality and studying the left, I vehemently disagree. I don't think that there's a naivete here at all. I believe that there is destruction in the heart of people like Obama in the left. I think that they know exactly what they're doing, and they want to aid and abet the enemies of the United States and destroy the United States.
Can I disagree with you on one point?
No, so you think it's more naivete?
Well, I think in regard to his socialist leanings or socialism and all that with any other part of our society, I absolutely agree with you. I think, however, that he romanticizes Islam. He thinks that the sound of the prayer, the call to prayer, is one of the most beautiful sounds he's ever heard. And I've seen videos of him when he went to a mosque in Egypt, and he's looking up and he's just so enthralled. I think he totally misunderstands the depth of the depravity of Islam. I really do.
Your angle on this, Nonie?
I don't think it's naivete. I think it's more than that. I think it's he has a lot of respect for the Muslim religion, and also he chose all his advisors, all the people that he's hiring, even our representative with the OIC, to be a Muslim Brotherhood. They're all sympathizers of Muslim, but he's surrounding himself.
But it's incredible that the President of the United States is surrounding himself with people associated with the Muslim Brotherhood. You would think that a president would have advisors like Steve Emerson, Daniel Pipes, Nonie Darwish, Waleed Fairs.
No, he won't.
But we are Islamophobes in his mind.
It's very simple in my mind. I mean, you look at his peers like Ayers, look at his spiritual leader, Jeremiah Wright. Obama has had a life of being far, 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 far left, and the far left hates Israel, wrongly thinks that Israel is an occupying force instituting apartheid, and so the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And I think that, you know, what you and David often refer to as an unholy alliance between the far left and the Islamists, I think that's what we're seeing with Obama. Not so much that he's a secret Muslim, or I think it's more that it's very far left leaning, that the, you know, you just read Al Jazeera, it's a far left, you know, publication.
And remember, the very first interview that he gave when he became president was on Al Jazeera. I mean, but all of his advisors also are socialist Marxists, you know, communists, some of them, and so it's that whole ball of wax. But I still think he romanticizes Islam. He grew up with it. His father was a Muslim. His stepfather was a Muslim. So much of his family were Muslims.
I understand. And Nancy, perhaps this isn't mutually exclusive in the sense that you can romanticize Islam and simultaneously have a destructive intent in your heart. Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask this to conclude this segment. This is really scary. We already have Hamas in power. They've been launching rockets into Israel recently. I don't even think, forget about recently, that's never really stopped. It's been recurrent, but it's escalating. We have the fear that chemical weapons have also ended up in Gaza because of, we don't know what happened to the stockpile that Gaddafi had. The border with Sinai is no longer safe as it was under Mubarak. We also don't know where Syria's weapons are ending up. This is really frightening. Give me your guys' scenario. Is there even any potential solution at this point? Let me begin with Nonie.
I think it's going to be worse before it gets even more worse. It's very grim, the situation. And you can see the Arab world is all split between factions, and they are going to be, it's going to be bloody.
Okay, just a sec. So
And
there's a civil war in the streets between
It's gonna be-
Muslims and the secularists and Islamists in the Middle East and starting in Egypt.
Yeah.
But will they all descend on Israel at this time as well?
I don't think so, because this is the stage where they're fighting with each other first.
If Barack Obama remains in power,
In power, then the Islamists will be more empowered.
if Romney gets in a little
If
bit more hope?
there's a little bit more hope if Romney gets in, but in any case, the Islamists are so empowered with oil money. They were paying money to people to vote for them.
Mhm.
And a lot of people think Islamophobia is only in America and the West.
Right.
There is Islamophobia inside the Muslim world. Half the population in Egypt is scared the hell out of Sharia law.
And Nonie, an article you wrote for Front Page
Yeah.
just recently, you showed that Egyptian Americans are more radicalized than Egyptians in Egypt.
Yes, because so far the elections in Egypt are about 50-50,
Mhm.
maybe 51, 49. That's how it is between the secular and the Islamists.
And in Egypt, it's in America, it's
But in
75%.
America, you know, Egyptians who live in America can have dual citizenship, and many of them went and voted in the embassies here, and over 75% voted for the Islamists, for the Muslim Brotherhood. And if you discount the number of Christian Egyptians who of course naturally voted for
Yeah.
the other guy, then we could be over 95% of Egyptian Muslims
Yeah.
in America are voting for the Islamists.
And you know what, Nonie, this reality is also something I've been studying over the years, where the left is so wrong that their argument is Muslims are radicalized because of capitalist oppression and poverty, and they're downtrodden. These are the
Yeah.
wealthiest, most freest, and
Exactly.
they have the most contact with the West, and they are becoming more
And
and more
and
radicalized.
there is a lot of immigration
Mhm.
in America of more Islamists than any I've seen before.
Yeah.
That's right.
Most of the immigrants that I'm seeing are heading to the mosques right away, organizing right away, building mosques right
Yeah.
away, and I don't see the liberals in the Arab world are here.
And at the same time, we are Islamophobes and racists if we even point to this problem.
Yes.
Eric?
Look, the Pew Forum, said that something like 49% of Egyptians were in favor of Hamas. This is before Mubarak even fell. That's alarming enough. But when people come to our country here and they're in favor of an organization that wants to destroy us, I don't know the answer to this. How do we work within our legal system and within our Constitution to fight this? I mean, this is unacceptable.
Yeah.
And I just added, the well-known Muslim Brotherhood memorandum that says that, in this program of civilization jihad, the plan is to destroy the West from the inside using our own hands, using our own system. And I'd say so far they're doing a very good
Great
job.
job.
And I'll just add this: the way we fight back is information. 1,400 years of Islamic brutality has never seen the information age before.
Yeah.
The information age is a game changer. YouTube, Facebook, this is how we fight it.
And you know what's so scary? I went to a talk by Steve Coughlin the other night, just fascinating and frightening, and Nancy, you were there
I
as
was
well.
there.
He was discussing how the Islamists are actually buying up our media. That's why we're not seeing a lot of this stuff discussed. Nancy, last word goes to
Do
you.
you know what one of the big problems we have? One of the major problems is that we are funding radical Islam and terrorism every time we go to fill up our cars. And the environmentalists have prevented us from drilling in America and becoming energy independent, even though we have more oil and shale underneath our continent than in the whole Middle East. And that is a huge problem because they have enormous petrodollars, unending funds of money. And how do you fight against that, especially us when the left won't listen to us?
Thank you very much. And the humanitarian left perpetrating the end of humanitarianism. Join us tomorrow evening for our second segment when we discuss with our 3 modern-day freedom fighters Islamic slavery in the modern world. See you then.